Alrighty, everybody, welcome to Casual Sports Talk Podcast, NFL Stock Preview Editions. And now we got gentlemen's right over here who realizes that the Lions are the number one seed in the NFC. Here's Douglas.
Oh my gosh, darn right, Stu. Well earned, too. Well earned.
Yes.
What a football team.
What a football team indeed. Oh my God. I know we're probably not going to do any previews for the week 18, but that was probably the highlight of the week. Oh my God. Can you believe it? Detroit was dominant. I mean, maybe it was not dominant in my textbook definition, but it's close to being dominant right now. And it's like you're an Tree said it best. They made Sam Darnold look like the Jets Sam Darnold.
God, darn right, man.
Yes.
Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, everyone got planned until you got punched in the face right now. Oh, I always say punch in the face. Thank you, Mike Tyson. But anyway, we got to talk about, interestingly enough, do you have any thoughts on Week 18 before we start with the previews and our eulogies?
I thought it was really funny that Travis Kelce took time to comment on the Chiefs not losing, or the Chiefs losing to avoid playing the Bengals. He was quite upset by that accusation, which was kind of funny. I don't think that they necessarily are trying to keep the Bengals out, but my goodness, they got shut out 38-0. That was kind of wild. The Bengals were in until the last moment, which was kind of fun. And go Lions.
Yeah, we got to go. I mean, first of all, it's sad that the Bengals got eliminated. I wanted the Bengals to make it in. It would have been hilarious if the Broncos choked this away, but unfortunately, we can't have nice things in this world sometimes. And I'm sad that the Eagles have now won the NFC East. But other than that, I feel like this is a very interesting playoffs right now. This is a very, I'm very intrigued to see what there. I think the NFC I'm more intrigued about, like who's going to make it in the who's going to make it to the Super Bowl than the AFC right now. Where I feel like the AFC, I feel like there's like 3 teams, and then the NFC, I think honestly, I do agree, maybe 6 out of 7 of these teams. I think they can, if they can have a deep run to make it the postseason.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating. I mean, I'm really excited for weekend 2 in the AFC. Like weekend 1's kind of a dud. But I mean, maybe it won't be, but like I think weekend 2 in the AFC, a possible Chargers Chiefs and Bills Ravens. Whew, that'll be an amazing weekend of football, but we got to get there first.
We got to get there in first, and we got to see if all these teams are going to make it in there. But now we got to talk about the sad news. We got to do some eulogies on some teams that unfortunately got eliminated this week.
No.
We got to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. And it's interestingly enough where, Douglas, you were sort of right on the final score of the Falcons. Granted, I do think they should get a 4. I'm just still saying it. When we get to the postseason, I'm sorry. They looked very crummy. And I feel like if they were in any other division, they would be a 4.
Well, it depends. I mean, they finished 8 and 9.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're in that range.
They're in that range. Number 1, they're in that range. Number 2, the Seahawks got eliminated and they're 10 and 7.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Just saying. I think the Seahawks should have made the postseason versus the Falcons. I'm just saying. Hot take alert.
Well, I mean, they should have, but neither of them made the playoffs, so it's a moot point.
Yes. But anyway, we can discuss like the first part about the disappointment of the Atlanta Falcons. It is very interesting for the predictions because, like I said, interestingly enough, for the Atlanta Falcons, I was very pessimistic about Kirk Cousins. It's kind of funny because I feel like your score was more correct, but my pessimism and like worrisome was actually correct. I feel like we were both right, but for different reasons.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't see Michael Penix starting at the end of the season in crunch time for the playoffs. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I had that as part of the prediction.
Yes. I mean, I was very much, nervous because it was like, hey, they're going to overpay for Kirk Cousins. Like, this is not a good idea. This is like a 36-year-old quarterback that's injury prone. I was a little bit nervous about that. I was not feeling confident. And that's why I gave them the 3, interestingly enough. So they did exceed my expectations, but my prediction was correct. because like Kirk Cousins basically kind of showed why Kirk Cousins is not that great right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not wrong on that one.
You're not wrong on the Kirk Cousins part, that's for sure.
Yes. Douglas, you were very optimistic about Kirk Cousins. You thought Kirk Cousins was going to go, maybe ball, maybe be a Stafford. If I'm
I
thinking
mean,
about,
he had his moments. I mean, he played some nice football there from the beginning, like kind of the middle of the season. They beat the Eagles on that fun game. There were some fun moments from the Kirk Cousins era, but then he had that stinker starting about week 10. I think he had 1 touchdown to 9 interceptions or something ridiculous. So,
yeah,
I mean, the benching was very well justified at that point. Because, I mean, they should have ran away with this division. Like, they had the tiebreaker over the
they beat the Tampa Bay twice. It wasn't even once. They beat him twice. And I feel
and
like
that's the confusing part because this is a good Tampa team, too, that, like, went toe-to-toe with a lot of teams. A Tampa team that beat the Eagles, beat the Lions. So it's kind of like it was a very up and down season for this team for sure.
yeah, and I feel like this is a very much a damning statement. I feel like, in my opinion, the Falcons should have easily made the postseason. This was not the strongest Tampa team. You have the tiebreaker, and you lost to them. And I think the kicker is you lost to overtime against the
Um,
Panthers.
yeah, I mean, for them it wouldn't have mattered technically, but do you
Yeah,
think the Seahawks are a better team than the Buccaneers?
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah,
honestly think so. I honestly think
that's
so.
so interesting because I like very strongly disagree with that. Like, I think the Buccaneers are a very good team.
I
I
think,
think the Seahawks got lucky that they played a pretty weak schedule.
yeah,
Because like that's the thing too is like we can complain about the 10-7s, but like the NFC West was pretty weak too. But
yeah.
I don't hear any complaints about the NFC West and the Rams making it, but the Buccaneers are the 3 seed. I
Mhm.
mean, the Buccaneers are good enough to not only make the playoffs, but they got all the way up to the 3 seed.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, and granted, like I said, I mean, we'll talk to the Rams pretty soon. I mean, but granted, they lost to a game against a Seahawks team that their season was done. So it's just that's not really a good sign. I mean, they did make it to the 3 seed, but like I said, we
Well,
got to
I think they were resting all their players too, though.
yeah. But anyway, we got to talk about the Falcons. I mean, it's kind of funny because I feel like the beginning of the season, your prediction was getting correct. The middle towards the end, I think my prediction was getting to be correct in the end of this. And I kind of feel like that this is, I think honestly, probably Kirk Cousins is probably going to be, since, it's very interesting that they're going to bench him and he's going to get cut, which sucks for the Falcons because it's like you lost $160 million dead cap on that. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
who wants to have that cap? Is any team going to take Kirk Cousins? I don't think anyone wants,
I
unless,
mean, he'll end up having maybe what happened with like a Russell Wilson.
yeah, I think it'll probably be a backup or maybe like a starter in like a mid-tier team. But who's going to pay for that money? It's
Well, I
a
mean, that's what
lot.
I'm saying. Like Russell Wilson, nobody's paying him. He's going to make money from Atlanta for 4 years, so he can then go and sign on a Las Vegas Raiders for a rookie minimum type of contract. I mean, granted, the Raiders will probably take a QB, but I mean, he can go sign with a team that's QB needy for a veteran minimum, prove that he's still a viable starter potentially. But that's about his path right now.
Yeah, and that's his path. I mean, it is kind of funny because, like I said, we were dogging the Michael Penix Jr. draft trade. Everybody
I
was not.
mean,
Yeah,
it's still a silly decision just because they got Kirk Cousins. I mean,
yeah,
the pick itself wasn't a bad pick, but like you don't pay a quarterback that kind of money. Like if they signed Kirk Cousins on a 1 year deal, like the Vikings did with Sam Darnold, okay, like I can respect that decision. Like I'm not mad about that decision. Like they got a good deal on Sam Darnold. He ended up being awesome.
and Sam
What I
Darnold's
don't
probably getting
understand is
paid.
the 4. Yeah, I don't understand a 4 year deal by any means.
I hated that deal. That was honestly probably the worst deal. I mean,
I'll
it's
say, I
like,
mean, that was the more baffling thing, rather than drafting Michael Penix, was the fact that they paid Kurt that much and
no,
that contract.
who had a bad contract? It was like a veteran quarterback. What was like a bad contract? Russell
I
Wilson
mean,
or Kirk
yeah,
Cousins?
Russell. I mean the Russell Wilson one was definitely worse because I mean the nice thing for the Falcons is they got him in free agency. So I mean it's not like they like traded a bunch of assets. Like the Broncos, they gave up a lot. Like it wasn't as simple as they like I mean they just literally gave him a bad contract and like that sucks. But at least they didn't lose a bunch of draft picks and stuff.
Yeah. So
'Cause, I mean that's when you really ruin yourself is when you tie all the draft picks into it.
yeah. So unfortunately for the Falcons fly away, Falcons. You're flying all the way to the sun, and unfortunately your wings melted, and now Falcons are heading to crashing down.
It's not good.
Not good. And now we got to talk about the other team that got eliminated this week. The number 2 casualty, the Miami Dolphins, got eliminated. And oh boy, what a disappointment to the Miami Dolphins. It is very interesting because, like I said, when we were talking about the Miami Dolphins, I was very you and Christopher were very optimistic. Christopher was the most optimistic on the Miami Dolphins. Thought they were going to make the AFC Championship.
Hmm.
It is crazy to think about, like, that Chris thought that they were going to do it. You thought they were very optimistic, and you thought they were going to win a playoff game. Funny
I
enough,
mean, and honestly, if Tua doesn't get hurt, they probably do. I mean, that's the big elephant in the room here. I mean, they were absolutely terrible without Tua. With him, they were at least viable. Because I mean, they finished strong. Like the games that Tua played, they were good. But I mean, when you don't have your QB for 5-6 weeks and you have the worst offense in the NFL and lose all those games, the fact that they made it this close with missing Tua that much was kind of respectable.
yeah. I mean, and it's crazy for me. Like, I was the least pessimistic about the Dolphins, but I at least put them in the postseason. So Douglas gave him a 7, I gave him the 6, and Christopher gave him the 8. And so I guess I think, like I said, you lost Tua. You lost a lot of games. You try to come back, but I feel like, just like the Cowboys, the sins of the past came back to haunt the Dolphins. And it's kind of been a disappointing, like, frustrating year, I feel like, if you're a Dolphins fan.
Well, yeah, I mean, now you have Tyreek talking about possibly getting traded, and that we'll see
Oh,
if he does or
yeah.
if he doesn't. But like now you have drama with that, and he had a down year, and
Oh,
like there's definitely dramas. You'll see if they can right the ship because the one thing I mean, this I feel really lucky right now as a Lions fan that we have such an awesome culture. But they don't seem to have a great culture going right now when you have players openly like walking out in games and saying that they're going to quit and stuff.
oh my God. It's really bad. Okay, and I guess we got to talk about the thoughts about the Tyreek Hill, having a complaint and wanting to leave Miami right now. First of all, it's really bad in the interview. It's like, so do you have any positives that's happened this year about uh, being the Miami Dolphins fan? It's like, yeah, when my son was born.
I mean, that's a fair highlight of the year, no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean that's a highlight of the year. But do you want to hear that if you're a teammate?
Oh gosh. Oh no, absolutely not.
No, and like trashing your teammate, and you're the veteran guy. Like I said, Tyreek Hill's the veteran, and I feel like it's very frustrating if you're like a younger player, just feeling like your veterans just trashing your team, trashing your. I think you would take it personally. Like I said, I bust my butt to make it here, and I just feel like you're just like take your ball and go home.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good message to the team, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny to think about this because I remember last year when we talk about when Tyreek Hill left from the Kansas City Chiefs to be part of the Miami Dolphins, and you just kind of said, man, when they were losing to the Broncos, when they were losing to the Raiders, the Chiefs, you were thinking, Douglas, man, they're thinking about missing Tyreek Hill. We could have Tyreek
Mhm.
Hill back. And now we should probably do a reverse. Does Tyreek Hill miss the Chiefs now?
I mean, I think he has to. I mean, you go from one of the obviously best organizations in the NFL to now this, and he missed the playoffs for the first time in his career. I
Yeah.
mean, extremely disappointing if you're Tyreek Hill and if you're the entire Dolphins organization. So it's kind
Like
of
like it's kind of crazy to think about it. So Tyreek Hill goes to the Dolphins, loses his first playoff game against the Chiefs, and you miss the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs, on the other hand, won a Super Bowl, have a bye week right now, and could potentially be making a Super Bowl again.
Mm-hmm. I
They
mean,
don't
yeah,
miss. Yeah,
they have a good shot at same way.
yeah, they don't miss Tyreek. I don't think they do.
Mm. I mean, yeah, like I mean, would they be better with them? Possibly, but you know, you never know.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think it's like one of the I think it kind of reminds me of, hear me out. You leave a job to go to another job, but it's like, yeah, I like this job, but I'm here to make more money and like leave. But then it's like you get paid more, but it's like the culture's disaster, and you're just like, ah, did I regret making that? That was a dumb decision. I'm doing that. This is really stupid. And like the
yeah,
grass is greener on the other side. You know,
absolutely.
you
I
know.
mean, yeah, it's got to suck for him for sure. Because I mean, I think he thought like last year when they were good, and then he got to go to Kansas City in the playoffs, and he like it went from like a really fun story to now all of a sudden you're like, man, now you're kind of irrelevant. You had a bad year. There wasn't much positive, you know.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna be honest. Who wants to take Tyreek Hill because of that behavior? Like, I'm kind of a little bit worried that like a lot of teams. I mean, maybe there's probably some like lower teams, but like, let's be honest. Do you think like do you think the Eagles or like the Bills would take Tyreek with that act with the antics he's had?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because I mean the Bills are just fine. They got rid of Stephon Diggs and got better, so it's hard to imagine them being too worried. But I mean, I think a lot of teams, if he still has that elite speed, I mean, we've seen teams overlook character flaws for less.
Oh my God, Antonio Brown.
Well, yeah, I
He
mean, for
got like
teams,
20 different
somebody would
chances.
sign him. I mean,
Yeah,
it's hard to imagine one of the better teams in the league signing him just based on the fact of, I mean, like you want that culture and everything, but there's no doubt he'll get some contracts if he does want to be traded.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, yeah, he's not like a Le'Veon. He's not like an Antonio where it just like blew up in their face. I mean, especially Antonio, in my opinion, just like like he had like 20 chances and blew it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we got to do it like South Park says it. F you, Dolphin. Spear the Dolphins. We're spearing them, baby.
All right.
Yes. Now we got to talk about the prediction. I hate to say it, Douglas, that you were correct.
I mean, I was rooting for him at the end, man. Like I was kind of hoping they would get in there.
Yes. It is crazy to think that, and it's crazy because like in the predictions right over here, we were so me and Christopher were so optimistic on the Cincinnati Bengals. Like we thought they're gonna win a playoff game. That is crazy to think about that. We thought that they were gonna win a playoff game, and we thought they were gonna do good in the postseason. I mean, we gave them sevens. I was a little bit
Mhm.
concerned about Joe Burrow getting hurt, but I figured, you know what? Joe Burrow got hurt one time and then bounced back and did this. And then Douglas, you had this weird premonition. I remember this. You're like, I have a gut feeling that they're not going to have a good year. And you gave them the 5.
Yeah, and I mean they were about as close as you get to the playoffs without making it.
Yeah. So, Douglas, what is your thoughts on the eulogy on the Cincinnati Bengals?
I mean, I wish they would have made it, but I'm really happy that the Broncos are there too because I think the Broncos are a complete team. I mean, the Bengals, it's going to be a bummer. They're going to lose T. Higgins, which is going to be a big deal. Like Jamar and Joe Burrow are amazing. Trey Hendricks led the NFL in sacks. It's like on paper, this team should have made the playoffs. I mean, you had Joe Burrow lead the NFL in a lot of different things. You had Jamar Chase win the Triple Crown. You had T. Higgins with an awesome year. It's a shame when a team wastes like this much talent and this many amazing seasons in one. Because you don't get many seasons like this where you have this many players playing at an all pro level, but you can't make the playoffs. Like feels like very reminiscent of a Lions team with Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson, where it's like Stafford throws
Yeah.
41 touchdowns and everything else, and then they still can't really make a playoff run.
Yeah, this feels like a team that's just like, man, it's such a frustrating because, like I said, I think if they had at least an okay defense, Joe Burrow is probably in the MVP category.
I mean, yeah, he absolutely should have been. I mean, he was up there in almost every category. I mean, it's down to Lamar and Josh Allen, which is also fair. I mean, but man, oh man, like this is a wasted season, a very disappointing
I
one.
feel like this is one of those years, and I honestly think it's ownership's fault for being cheap, not getting good defensive players, not doing anything right there. I think this is what happens when you have cheap ownership. It's kind of like when
Hmm.
Strong Opinion Sports, when they talked about it with the Bengals, like it's kind of like a small business. The NFL is like a small business. I know it's $1 billion corporation, but it's like everyone kind of knows everybody in that sense.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a bummer. I mean, you got to figure they had so many chances to win games too that they just didn't quite. I mean, I didn't look fully through it, but I saw they lost like 16-10 to the Patriots in like week 2.
Hmm.
Like, you get that one to bounce different and the season's completely different.
Yes. And I guess we'll talk about it. Yes, who's also here? Christopher, right over here. We're just talking about your favorite team, the team down south, the Cincinnati Bengals being eliminated. Do you have any thoughts also on the Bengals going out?
I wish the Broncos didn't kill the Chiefs. Was it 38 or 31-0?
Yeah.
The Bengals were able to beat the Steelers on that Saturday afternoon game, and yeah, all they needed was obviously the Dolphins were unsuccessful
Hmm.
um, in winning. So yeah, all the Bengals needed to do was for the Broncos to lose. That didn't happen. I'd rather see the Bengals in the playoffs than the Broncos, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the Broncos. So yeah.
Yeah. And we were discussing about it, Fyodor, about this that, if Joe Burrow had at least a good, easier defense, like a better defense, like a medium good defense, I think Joe Burrow might be in that Super Bowl, like not Super Bowl, MVP category, like Lamar, like Josh Allen right now.
I don't know if I mentioned on this podcast or I was talking with my buddies, but yeah, if the Bengals were in the playoffs, Joe Burrow would definitely be in the MVP consideration for
Well, I
sure.
think Joe Burrow himself summed it up nicely when they asked him. He's like, well, you usually have to win your division. He's like, they're not going to get an MVP to a wild card or a team sitting at home. He's like, it usually goes to a division winner. And he's like, I'll win one eventually, but, not this year. I mean, I'm sitting on the couch, basically.
Yeah, and I'm still kind of worried, and I talked about it for the future of the Bengals in the sense of, are they going to waste Joe Burrow's career? Is it
No,
gonna is it
no,
gonna
they're
be
not
worth?
waiting. No, no way. They have T. Higgins. They have Jamar Chase.
But I mean,
Um,
look at the defense. The defense was trash, and it was ownership's fault for
so
making it.
Trey Hendrickson, defensive end, Cincinnati Bengals. He led the league, or he was top 2 in sacks this year. So no, they have a good defense. Maybe they couldn't put together this season, but they'll be back for next season. I expect the Bengals to be making the playoffs next season for
But
sure.
but to be fair, Fyodor, they did have Trey Henderson, but that defense cost them a postseason. And also, and you think about it, that loss to
Well,
New England cost them the postseason. Week
well,
one
exactly. I
cost.
mean,
Yeah,
that's the thing, though. I mean, they only put up 10 points that week, though, too. So it's
yeah,
like you score more than 10 points on a crummy New England team, and you're probably in the playoffs.
yeah.
And that's sometimes the difference in the NFL.
It is.
And so, I mean, that one, I mean, that's a Joe Burrow. I mean, if you can't put up more points on that horrendous Patriots defense, too, that one's not the defense.
Yeah, but it's crazy to think week one cost them the postseason, all
Yeah,
the
I
way to
mean,
the beginning. Yeah,
yeah. Looking at their other losses, they're high caliber losses. They should not. They lost the Chiefs, Commanders, Eagles, Ravens, Chargers, Steelers, and then yeah. But yeah, that week one really cost them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I will say to the Bengals, at least you're not bungling. Your defense might be, but at least you're not bungling. At least I will not call you the Bungles. I'm sorry. I mean, granted, I got family members that are Bengals fans, and so it's a
I
frustrating
mean,
year.
so do I. I root for the Bengals. If the Bengals were in the postseason, I'd be rooting for the Bengals just because they're from Ohio.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
All right. We should probably get through some playoff teams here, gentlemen.
yes. So long, Bengals. Avita say goodbye. And now we got to talk about the postseason. So, gentlemen, we're going to make it so interesting, and we'll talk about it with the audience right over here. That we're going to make it super interesting. We're not going to recap about week 18. We're going to talk about the teams that we playing against each other this week. So, gentlemen, this is the interesting rule we will have. If you do not feel confident that this team, you can pick who you think is going to win this playoff game. But if you're not 100% confident, you can give them the 6, for instance. If you just don't feel like each team is going to win, 100% confident.
Oh, thank goodness I feel confident.
Yes. I mean, we got. I mean, it's a tough choice between the Chargers and the Houston Texans right now. Okay,
yeah.
but
so if I'm confident in the Chargers, I'm gonna give them a 7, meaning they're gonna get a playoff win.
Yes,
and then the
but
Texans
if you did not feel confident, you're like, if your life depended on it, and you're picking this team, you can be like, I don't feel as confident. I think they're gonna win, but I'm like, then maybe, yeah. But
am I able to give them an 8 because I think they'll take on the Chiefs in the second round?
yes,
I mean,
do that. You can do that.
I could. I don't know if I will, but I just gotta know my options. I gotta know my options.
But I guess we'll start with the Chargers. Interesting.
Wait, well, you didn't answer Mr. Doug's question. If he thinks that if he thinks the Chargers are going to advance to the AFC title game by beating the Chiefs, would he give them an 8?
You can give them an 8 if you think they're going to make the NFC Championship. If you 100% feel confident they're making so
very good.
It's very interesting. So this is a bounce back year for the Chargers right now. I feel like last year they looked really bad. They had a really terrible coach. And now Harbaugh came here. And Douglas, I'm sorry for myself that I'm wrong. I'll be wrong for this time. You were very optimistic on the Chargers right there. And look at that. They made
I mean, coaching matters, man. I mean, I was reading an article too, and like I really like the perspective because it was talking about how you need, and it was related to Jim Harbaugh. It was talking about how you need a guy that can come in and set the culture. Like you don't need the hottest offensive coordinator, because like they might be brilliant and geniuses, but you need somebody that can build a culture. And Jim Harbaugh made Michigan a really great culture, a championship caliber culture. And he just has that ability to I mean, you might not like him, he might be polarizing, but also he has the ability to get everybody to buy into his system. He knows who he is. He's not going to overcomplicate it. He's not going to get too cute. And they're going to play great defense. They're going to run the ball well. And you have Justin Herbert, who's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL.
Probably the best of his career right now. I think he's probably playing the best in his career.
He's better in the NFL. He's definitely playing the best in his career. But in a tier wise, I'd say Justin Herbert might be top 7 or top 8, maybe even
I'll say
5.
it's hard to put him in the top 5 just because there's some, I don't know. I mean, we're just random question. Where would you put a Jared Goff? Because I feel like he's a really hard one to rank because is it him? Is it the system?
I think it's more the system. I think it's more the system, but I wouldn't put him as super elite tier. I feel like if I had to put the elite quarterbacks, it's probably gonna be Patrick Mahomes. I would put Josh Allen. I would put
Lamar, of course.
Lamar Jackson. Sorry, I literally brain farted. If I had to put my elite quarterbacks, it's those 3. Then it's the
Well, I mean, I'd say Joe Burrow is probably in that first category too.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow didn't make the postseason. That's the only problem.
Well, I mean, we're not going off who made the postseason. We're saying about elite quarterbacks that can enhance their team, and I mean, Joe Burrow. After the month of or going from November 1 to the rest of the season, he had a heck of a year.
Yeah,
but we could digress and go back to the main subject here, the Los Angeles Chargers.
But it is interesting. So I guess we definitely say coaching is the one staff. Definitely do have an easier opponent against the Texans, where I do feel like I think I'm going to say it when we get to the Texans, probably the weakest of all the 14. I would rank them 14th. Out of 14.
Well, it'd be close for me between them and the Steelers for some reason.
Steelers
lost 4 straight to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, Steelers did lose 4 straight, and then you lost that team that didn't make the postseason. That's not really saying much. But I don't know. I'm trying to think, gentlemen. What do you think is their weakness for the Chargers right now? If you're, in my opinion,
wide receiver. Lad McConkey's wonderful, but they don't have. They can run the ball well. They got Joe Elton, the offensive line, a really solid offensive line. Their defense has been ranked in the top 2 or 3 of the year all season. But like when they need to rely on a big play, it's like they got Lad McConkey, rookie out of Georgia, out there. It's like he's great, like he's amazing. But like it's kind of like outside of him, it's like you have what Quintavious Johnson is like your number two. You have like Gerald Everett maybe. It's like hard to find like a lot of depth at pass catcher, and they drop a lot of balls too.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of feel like the Chargers. I feel like they can probably win a playoff game. Can I see them making the postseason? Can I see them beating the Chiefs? Can I see them beating a Bills, beating the Ravens, like making that postseason? I mean, granted, I think they punched up. I'll give them credit for that.
I will say I think that the Chiefs is the best possible second round opponent for them. Like I don't think the Bills or the Ravens are a good matchup. Like,
No.
but I do think that they match up nicely with the Chiefs for some reason.
I mean, granted, they did lose to the Chiefs, but granted, we're talking about the Texans. We're not talking. We will get to there if they do play against each other in the Chiefs. But I think we'll start with our gentleman. I think we all kind of agree. I think I'm going to probably pick the Chargers to win this game. I don't even think it's going to be close. I think they beat them by 17 points. I don't even think it's going to be a good
17.
game. I don't think it's going to be a good game.
The spread's 2.5, Stu. You should put money on that.
So to be fair, Chris, Stu is also predicting an Ohio State blowout as well.
Okay, so Stewart's, yeah, I mean.
I thought Ben and I said Notre Dame was gonna lose to Penn State by like 3, but I digress.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The Ohio State one, Stewart's very convinced that it'll be an easy win for the Buckeyes. Just so you know,
I think it would be, but anyway,
I wish I was here for that podcast, but no. I'm gonna give the Chargers a 7 as well. I don't see them losing to the Texans. I mean, come Sunday. This game's on Sunday, right? Yeah. Let's see. It doesn't matter what time it is.
No, I think it's a Saturday at 4:30.
Yes. Like I said.
But yeah, I'm gonna put money on that 2.5 point spread for the Chargers. I don't see the Texans winning at home, unfortunately. Yeah, but I'm not gonna give the Chargers an 8 because you can't have a back-to-back Super Bowl champion losing in the divisional round to the Chargers. I'm gonna see the Chiefs in that AFC Championship game more than likely.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we get that matchup so then we get the previous NCAA champion and the defending Super Bowl champ in a playoff matchup. Two of the better quarterbacks in the league. Makes for a fun second round, but I would pick the Chiefs in that game, so give me a 7.
Yep, we got a 777s indeed. Look at this. And now we went from the team that I think is going to win to the team I think is going to lose. Do we have any positives in the Texans right now? Because I really do feel like them and the Steelers are probably this is like the weakest team that won the division.
I mean, CJ Stroud is still an up and coming good quarterback.
But he had a sophomore slump. I'm not going to lie. He had a sophomore slump.
Yeah, I mean, he also was without his best receivers. Like, I feel like, Stu, you forget about these teams that lose elite playmakers because, like, the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the Texans all had their top 2 receivers go out for giant chunks of the season. And they all still finished, like, 10-7. So, like, they all slumped really heavy when they lost their best playmakers. Because it goes back to that Jimmy and Joe's X's and O's things I brought up a few weeks ago. It's like, you can have the best coach in the world, but you still need the players. Like, I don't care how good Baker Mayfield is, but without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, he had a rough stretch there. Without Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs, and then Tank Dell went down, you're gonna have a little bit of a rough sophomore slump.
It's a rough sophomore slump. This definitely been the sophomore slump. So I guess we'll start with try to think of positives. They got CJ Stroud.
Isn't that what I just said?
Yes. He went to Ohio State. I'm happy about that.
Heck yeah.
I mean,
Joe Mixon's had a nice season. Nico Collins was leading the league in receiving at some points. Like, there's fun pieces there. I mean, I feel like I would be the least shocked, it sounds like, out of this group to think that the Texans could win. I mean, I think the Chargers are more built for the playoffs, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Texans can start clicking with Mixon and Nico Collins and CJ Stroud finds a groove. That you never know. Like, it's a home game. Hopefully their crowd gets into it, and they still won the division, so they get at least one home game.
Yeah,
I mean, they played on a Saturday afternoon last year for their playoff game, and they won that one.
oh, they creamed the Brownies on that game. I remember that. You remember that game, right, Christopher? They just
I do, Stu, but yeah, we're talking about this game. We're not talking about past sequences.
yes. But anyway, do you have any positives about
I mean, Joe Mixon over 1,000 yards rushing, Nico Collins over 1,000 yards receiving, like Doug already mentioned. C.J. Stroud, yeah. I mean, he had a heck. Was he the rookie of the year last year? If he was, great.
I
If he
believe
wasn't-
yes. I believe he was the rookie of the year.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah. If you're rookie of the year, you're probably. I mean, chance of you doing the same exact thing year after year might not happen. That's exactly what happened. It didn't happen year after year. But yeah, I mean, they're still 10-7. They should have beat the Jets. They had a couple quality losses, but also they had a couple quality wins too. They won their division. They started the season 5-1, and that's why we probably looked high on the Texans. When you start the season 5-1, you're looking pretty elite. But then obviously they're going back and forth with wins and losses towards the end of the season.
Lost to the Ravens by like 29. Lost to the Chiefs by a lot. Like it's not looking good.
I would give the Texans a 6 because they made the playoffs, but I don't see them winning this game.
I guess for a Chiefs game, they lost by a lot, Stu, because they lost by 8 points. But for the Chiefs standards, that's a big blowout victory.
It's a blowout victory, baby. It's a blowout victory. But anyway, I guess we should start with the negatives on the Texans. Weakest team right now. Honestly, I just feel like C.J. Stroud has a sophomore slump. I just think they're gonna probably the weakest 10-7. Them and the Steelers. I agree with you, Douglas. It's a coin flip on who I think is worse, the Texans or the Steelers. But it's not. It doesn't feel confident when like none of us feel like that this is going to be a good game, and none of us think the Texans have a shot.
Well, I just said I think they have a shot. I don't think it's likely, but I think a home game. It's hard to count out a home playoff team that won a playoff game last year versus a quarterback and coach. Justin Herbert's never won a playoff game, so he still got to actually do it before we can. C.J. Stroud has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert. That's a fun stat.
That is a weird stat to think about it. And Justin Herbert, I feel like, has been in the league for like 4 or 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sophomore C.J. Stroud with the playoff win.
I mean, it would be funny if it's like, LOL, we were wrong, like another team when my boys lost to them.
Well, I think for the sake of time, I think we can all give them a 6, right?
Yeah, Christopher, what do you think about the Texans?
I already said a 6 for me.
Yep,
6.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be a 6, and I think my opinion is they're going to be the first ones where we're going to talk about their eulogy this week for the Texans.
Yep, probably. They play first.
They play first, and I'll probably be the first one to do my eulogy on the Texans.
All right.
And now we got to talk about another great team that looks like they're going to make it far in the oh my God, no, it's the Steelers. Okay, I got to say this. So it's kind of funny because it's like your name tree is a huge Steelers fan. And he always talks about that he always gets frustrated. Like, what would it be worse? Would you rather be, Douglas, a Steelers fan right now or a Giants fan right now? Where the Giants
Steelers all day.
Yeah, as a Browns fan, I'd rather be a Steelers fan than a Giants fan. Yeah, they made the playoffs. I'm not sure how many years in a row consecutively, but they're always in the playoffs. It's just that getting over that hump.
Yeah, being a Giants, why would I want to be a Giants fan?
Well, I don't know. Their team is bad, but everyone.
Giants, just like the Browns, are almost in a.
I mean, if I had like confidence that the Giants are going to rebuild successfully, then sure. But like watching the Giants just continue to mess up rebuild after rebuild, at least give me the playoffs over just being in a continuous rebuild.
Yeah. But it is very interesting. I think I totally blanked out, but I actually totally remember. I think the Steelers team kind of reminds me of
the Detroit Red Wings.
No, the Stafford Lions. You know what I mean? That they get when they make it to that postseason, but you have to play the Cowboys and they cheat. That doesn't happen to the Steelers. They just lose. I'm just saying.
We all know, Stu, the Cowboys phantom penalty flag picked up for no reason.
Darn it! We did not. But anyway,
it was so sucked, man. But that was the first time in my NFL career I saw a flag get picked up with really no explanation.
It made sense.
And it was in a playoff game
It made
and a
sense.
very obvious call.
It made sense in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't know if I see the similarities there. I mean, I see like what I see is like a Chargers when they had Phillip Rivers is kind of how it feels, where it's like, yeah, they'll make the playoffs, but like, are they going to do anything? You know, they're not going to. Like Phillip Rivers never won a Super Bowl or really did much. It's like, yeah, they're not really a threat, but like, cool, they're there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a cool story. Like I said, Russell Wilson came back first time in the postseason in a really long time. I feel like a little bit, like 2-3 years, right? The first.
Yeah, and one of the reporters actually does think that this is a bad matchup for the Ravens just because it's a rival like this. Whereas, like, if anybody would beat the Ravens in the playoffs, it would be the Steelers just because it doesn't make sense. And they put together a perfect game plan. Lamar gets extra stutters because it's not only the playoffs, but it's the Steelers in the playoffs. It's like it could be one of those really goofy games where it's like, does Lamar get spooked and like TJ Watt just decides to like go off? Probably not. I mean, I'll give the Steelers a 6.
Yeah,
It's not really likely in any scenario, but like it was an interesting perspective because I mean, Lamar kind of in the playoffs has struggled. Lamar against the Steelers has struggled. What happens when we put them all together? Maybe an absolute implosion from Lamar. Who
yeah.
knows?
I mean, granted, this is the Ravens' kryptonite. Somehow, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. For some reason, even when they suck, that is still their kryptonite.
Yep, it is.
Give me a 6 for the Steelers too, because like I said, they haven't won a first-round playoff game since 2016. They're an away team in Baltimore. Baltimore has been flashy hot as of recent. I just don't see. I don't even know what the spread is on this game, but I'll find that out when Stuart's talking about the Steelers here.
Yes, and I just feel like it's very interesting because, like I said, I feel like the Steelers can they still. It's been 8 years since the last time they won a playoff game.
Baltimore favored by 9.5 points. That's tricky. Sorry,
I mean, they beat them by 17 a couple weeks ago.
Gotcha. But I just don't. But also 4 losses in a row.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it'd be kind of like the Michigan Ohio State game where like it'd be worth a good chuckle if it happened, but like, will it happen? We don't think so, but like it could because somebody's in their head.
I mean, someone's in their head, but we'll see how it goes. But I think, unfortunately, I just don't think the Steelers are going to do it. I'm going to give them the 6 for right now, and I just do not feel optimistic right now. The Steelers.
Yeah, I mean,
And now we got another team right over here, the Baltimore Ravens, who we all think confidently are going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But
I mean, I think the real question here is a 7 or an 8 because it's like, oh man, like I was just going over this match. Man, like I'm just going over that matchup in my head, like as you were introducing them, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's in Buffalo, but it's like this Ravens team, like they're amazing on defense right now. Lamar was the highest rated quarterback in the pocket, like a lot of advanced metrics. Say Lamar's season this year is way better than last year. He's had a better season statistically than Josh Allen. Like the Ravens are just hot and dominating teams, man. Like
because it was the Ravens versus Chiefs last year in the AFC Championship game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in Baltimore.
Are we gonna see? It was. You said it was in Baltimore. No, it wasn't. Was it really?
Yeah, Baltimore. I don't know if they were the 1 or the 2 seed, but yeah, the Chiefs were 11-6 playing road game.
They were in Baltimore and they beat them.
Yeah, I mean, last year the Chiefs run was fun. I mean, they beat Buffalo in Buffalo, and then they beat Baltimore in Baltimore. I mean, you have to respect it.
Like, what I'm thinking is like NFL script writers, they have it where it's going to be a rematch, or is it going to be a new rematch? Is it going to be Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes? I really want it to be Mahomes versus Allen, but man. All right, I'll let you guys go first about the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be a 7 or an 8. Good luck, guys.
This is a good.
Or whoever's going first.
I mean, so something Stu and I had to talk about on the college one is sometimes it's not about being the better team; it's about the matchup. And like, I don't know that the Bills line up well with the Ravens, and like that's what sucks. I mean, they played head to head once, and it was a blowout. Baltimore's gotten way better on defense, and they can kind of like Kyle Hamilton's amazing at safety right now. Like they have a lot of great players. And like Lamar is just, but it's in Buffalo though.
But
so it's such a coin flip.
And also, I would say that game is in September, and it's a different team. You know what I mean? It's not how you start the season; it's how you're ending the season. And both teams look hot right now.
Yeah, that game was in Baltimore. This game should be in Buffalo.
I guess I'll go first. I'm like tempted to it's like 7 or 8. This is tough. Like I just don't know if this.
I mean, what happens if we pick an 8? Like, are we gonna get like penalized or anything like that? We're like, I don't.
Well, you're not gonna get penalized, but it's just gonna be like, ha ha ha. You you picked a terrible. Like you thought this team was gonna be good. Egg on your face. But
Gotcha.
I feel like for Baltimore. I just have a feeling the Bills are going to do it. But I think, and it's so funny because there's someone at work and he gets so mad at me because he listens to the podcast and he's like, he's a Ravens fan. And he's like, why don't you give the Ravens an 8? And I just can't. I don't have that Ravens hatred, but I'm like, can they beat the Bills?
Well, Stu, I will. Stewart's coworker, I will give you your 8.
All right. All right.
I think, because as I thought about this more, I think Josh Allen is like probably the single best player in the NFL, but I think the Ravens are just an unbelievable team. Like, out of all the teams in the NFL that I think about, like the Ravens would be the team I want to see the least as a Lions fan in the Super Bowl if they make it. Like, just think about how complete of a team the Ravens are. Like, now they have Derrick Henry, who's one of the 2 best running backs. Their defense has been ranked number 1 in the league for the last 6 weeks of the season. Lamar Jackson had the MVP caliber season by far. They still have Mark Andrews. They still have Zay Flowers. Like, they have more weapons, and they're a more complete team.
Yes.
And I'm going to put them at a 7. I can't stand them doing this because, Doug, I love what you're saying. Yeah, they're the best defense in the league. Derrick Henry, number 2 or top 2 running backs. Lamar Jackson, MVP type season, if not the MVP back to back. But the Bills got stomped by the Ravens 35-10, and was that week 4? Yeah, week 4. Something about like Ohio State lost to Oregon in the regular season. Ohio State beats Oregon in the postseason. I have a feeling it's going to be something like that. Baltimore beats Buffalo in the regular season, and now I'm saying Buffalo is going to beat.
So what you're about to say then is the Chiefs are going to a Super Bowl, because then the Chiefs have to get revenge on the Bills for their regular season loss.
Yeah.
So that's the logic. So,
I guess, as much as I would love to see another Buffalo-Detroit matchup, as we saw in the regular season, how fun that was.
That would be a great Super Bowl if that would happen. I'm going to be honest with you.
I mean, it already happened this season.
But we're probably not going to have nice things, and it's going to be probably like Chiefs versus like Eagles. That would be the worst.
Yeah, right, dude. Don't say Eagles, Stu. We're going to have Lions.
I want the Lions, darn it. But anyway, that would be the funnest one right over here. So we all picked. It's so crazy. Douglas is the only one that's optimistic, and I've
seen so many experts picking the Ravens to make the Super Bowl, and the more I've thought about this team, man, like they're like, I think them and the Lions are the 2 best teams in the NFL. And like I kind of did going into the season, I held the Ravens strong at an 8 for a lot of the season. They finished incredibly strong. It's nothing against Buffalo, but it's just in the playoffs, I don't know that Josh Allen can. Because, I mean, Josh Allen put up 42 points and lost to a Rams team. And that Rams team cannot score on anybody since. And it just kind of like, there's signs that like that Bills defense, I have more confidence in the Ravens stopping the Bills than the Bills stopping the Ravens by a significant amount.
All right. And we'll see which one.
I'm just seeing it's going to be snowing in Buffalo that weekend for the divisional round. And Josh Allen, he plays amazing. And he also runs amazingly in the snow. I don't know if Lamar Jackson can replicate that. But hey.
You know who probably can? Maybe Derrick Henry.
True, yeah. Derrick Henry's going to run all over that place, all over that snowy filled field.
Yep, the snowy field indeed. And now we
got it'll be I hope we get that matchup, because that'll be like, this will be the game of the year, I think.
Oh,
man.
We're going to start out with the Denver Broncos right over here. We're going to play.
Wait, we didn't do the Bills. Why didn't we do the Bills?
Well, I figured I wanted to start with the Broncos.
The Bills are probably favored.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. For some reason, we're thinking we're having the Bills versus Ravens. Forgot we got to wait a week for this.
Yeah, we got to wait for this.
My bad. I'm already jumping ahead a week.
You're like, Wow, you're already like, yeah, forget
I'm
about
like,
the Broncos. We're
skip
not
on
gonna
to the
talk
good
about the
part, man.
Broncos.
It's like, I don't want to read this boring intro of the book. Just like, give me to the good stuff.
Yeah, we're just like, yeah. Bo Nix, you ain't gonna do it. Bye. But anyway, we'll start with the Denver Broncos right over here, gentlemen. How do you feel about, this is the first time, I believe, since Peyton Manning when the Broncos made the postseason. I think this is the longest team, I think, that had a postseason drought, if I'm thinking correctly.
They might be. They got to be up there.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, because it's not the Commanders, because they made it during the 2020 season, and everyone else has at least been consistent. That's been in
Yeah.
the NFC and the AFC. I think it's
I
been.
mean, do you remember that Peyton Manning played for the Denver Broncos?
Yeah.
So it wasn't John Elway or John Elway. I said Elway. Yeah, it was in 2015.
Yeah.
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 I think them winning the Super Bowl was the last time they made the postseason.
See, that's wild.
Yeah. It is
I mean,
wild.
I watched a really fun first take segment, and granted, I don't know if I feel the same way, but they were saying what a bad matchup the Broncos are for the Bills because of the style of defense they play and how aggressive they can play and the way that they can line up on the field. They have Pat Surtain who can kind of lock somebody down. So there are several people on ESPN, multiple of the experts, that actually think that the Broncos have a way better chance. Maybe the best chance of an upset this weekend just because of their combination of elite defensive skills and shutdown cornerbacks and ways that they can play, and the fact that Bo Nix has been one of the hotter QBs in the league, and they have some weapons on offense too. If we're listening to them, there's a chance that there could be an upset here too, and these Broncos aren't going to be a pushover.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it if it's Denver in Baltimore for that divisional round. That'd be amazing. But let's talk about the Broncos here.
Yeah, Broncos. I mean, granted, Bo Nix is looking amazing. Nobody expected Bo Nix to do well. I think Sean Payton probably, if I put my number 2, probably coach of the year, I probably might give it to Sean Payton.
Who's your number 1?
I'd probably give it to the Minnesota Vikings coach.
Oh, Dan Campbell. He's not the Minnesota Viking coach. Sorry, Stu.
Yeah, Stu. I think a lot of people said it came down to that last. Yeah,
but I think they were still elite. That's what I'm trying to say. I think coach of the year, in my opinion, should be a team that I did not expect to make it to the postseason and do well.
Well, Stu, that's fair. I mean, I would also say that nobody expected the Lions to go 15-2 with 22 players in the IR, but Andy added crazy win percentages based on his fourth down decision making.
I mean,
Andy destroyed Andy destroyed that other coach 2 times head to head this year.
I mean, I will say this: if you want to be technical, maybe we should just give it to Andy Reid because he won a Super Bowl.
But this isn't coach of last year.
Just saying.
Hey, one of these teams got shut out this year. Andy Reid got shut out 38-0 against this team here, the Denver Broncos, last week, Stu.
But that was the B squad, darn it.
38-0, Stu. You know what else?
B squad. Are you telling me Carson Wentz? This is Carson Wentz. He ain't Patrick Mahomes. He's Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
But
And then score a single point on this amazing Broncos defense.
But anyway, I guess, like I said, can we go with the negatives on the Broncos?
See, I mean, that's what's hard. There's not a ton of negatives. I mean, there are negatives. I mean, but their offense is clicking. Bo Nix is gaining a ton of experience and confidence. They have one of the better defenses in the league. Shut down cornerbacks. I mean, when they finished 10-7, they easily could have won a couple more games. I mean, they're a blocked kick away from beating the Chiefs and being 2-0 against them this week. So I don't see a lot of negatives with this team. I see a really well-built football team that's going to be hard to beat for years to come.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I don't have many negatives about the Broncos either. I mean, they had one of the best defenses in the league up until the Ravens surpassed them. I think that was just a few weeks ago too. Yeah, Broncos, the defense led the heck out of the league in defense, and then Bo Nix, hot quarterback. Javonte Williams, he's pretty much always there. You got Courtland Sutton, who's not always. I'd say, if I had to pick one space to watch out for the Broncos, would be the wide receiver core. Because Mims, he's there, Sutton's there, but he's not Their wide receivers aren't always there, but Bo Nix, he's there. But yeah.
Yeah, and I guess, like I said, I'm going to go first. I don't think they're going to beat the Bills.
No way.
Let's be honest. No way. I'm going to
They
give
are
them
8.5-point underdogs, but yeah, I'd give the Broncos a 6 for me.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't think they're going to beat the Bills. So let's be honest. And what's your thoughts, Douglas? Do you think they can beat the Bills? I know that there's some podcasts that of my Strong Opinion Sports. They said that maybe the Broncos could do it.
Well,
But,
I mean, I will say this. I mean, can they? Absolutely, they can.
Yeah,
I mean, will they? I don't think so. I mean, I'll give them a 6. I mean, every year there's weird upsets. Like, did anybody think that the Packers are going to beat the Cowboys last year? No, and then they went in there and they stomped them.
yeah, and I don't want to talk about
Do we talk about that 7 versus 2 upset a little bit more?
No, no.
No, okay. We can end it there.
We can end it there. That was the worst game ever. I literally said I had to rage sleep. I said,
You guys were haunted by the ghost of Aaron Rodgers' past.
no, I don't want to deal with that. But anyway, we're done with the Denver Broncos. Let's start about the Buffalo Bills right now, who are basically the number 2 seed. They look dominant. They've been doing really well. Honestly, probably the 3 teams I can think of in the AFC that are basically the Super Bowl caliber right now. It's them, Chiefs, Ravens.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, I'll knock mine out real quick. I mean, I'm going to unfortunately give them the 7. It's probably the hardest 7. I mean, it ranks up there. And it's only because I think, as great as Josh Allen is, I think the Ravens are a more solid all-around team. And I think teams ultimately win in playoff scenarios. Like, players can carry their teams, but I think in the playoffs, like, I just don't know that the Bills' defense it's not nearly the caliber of the Ravens or the Chiefs, and that concerns me quite a bit.
But I just feel
the AFC has so many good teams. Like, it was very hard for me not to give the Ravens an 8. I'm going to give the Buffalo Bills an 8 because I gave the Ravens a 7. So chalk me down for an 8 for the Bills here. But, man, I would love to see a Ravens-Lions Super Bowl. Because, man,
Yeah,
the Ravens defense, the Lions offense, it's kind of like the Cavs offense and the Oklahoma City Thunder defense that just played today. Well,
who won that one?
The Cavs won by 7, but
opium, baby.
right. But yeah, like when you have the best defense, I think the Lions have the best offense, or one of the best.
I mean, the points per game they do.
Gotcha. Points per game.
But I do feel like, I mean, Josh Allen looks like he's balling. And I honestly think
he's balling, but is the rest of the team balling? I'm only giving them the win.
He's carrying this team on his back.
I'm only giving the Bills the win against the Ravens because
I literally, if you're Josh Allen right now, you need to get some ibuprofen right now because you're carrying this damn team on his back. Like, literally, it is just Josh Allen.
And that's a concern when you have a team with Derrick Henry and an amazing defense.
Yeah, but like I said, we're talking about Bo Nix. But let's be
honest.
Well,
we're talking about if they're going to make the 8, so we're also talking about Lamar and the Ravens.
It's so
we're not talking about Bo Nix. We already know the Bills are going to win this game for the most part.
And I think that
we don't know it, but we strongly believe it.
I think they win by like 13. I think it's going to be blowout. I think I'm going to give them the 8. I think it's honestly going to be Buffalo and the Chiefs in the NFC Championship. And then I'm going to have the question: Can Josh Allen finally do it, or is he going to choke?
TBD
on that one. And now we got the Green Bay Packers playing against the Philadelphia Eagles. It's been interesting because now I believe, is Jordan Love out for this week? Because I know he had a hurt shoulder.
I think he's good, and Jalen Hurts still hasn't cleared concussion protocol. So we got some interesting stuff going in this one for both QBs.
Questionable right now.
Yeah.
Can the Packers win as a 7 seed?
Yes.
They did it last year.
They did it last year.
Can the Packers?
They did beat an NFC East team. Can they do it again?
If you were basing on the FPI I sent you gentlemen earlier, they have the Packers as the 3rd best team in the entire NFL. So if you're looking at just purely FPI,
we were
Packers are better than
that. That list made no sense.
What?
Well, like the Packers were favored over the Vikings too a couple weeks ago. And so, like, I don't know why the Packers, though, they definitely underachieved their FPI projections these last few weeks.
But it's very interesting because, like, the Packers, even with the backup quarterback, they still have been dominant and still been good. Granted, they did play against each other in Sao Paulo in week 1, but I feel like these are both different teams now.
hmm
Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they both figured out their run game a little bit. I mean, they both have really solid defenses. Like, they're built very similar in a lot of ways.
mhm.
But it's hard to imagine the Eagles winning or losing at home. I mean, without their top 2 quarterbacks, they just beat the Cowboys 41-7. And I mean, the Eagles' defense is amazing. Saquon had an MVP caliber season and probably should have went for the record. So, as much as I would be interested in the Packers making a run, I'm going to give them a 6. Like, I don't see it happening. The Eagles team is too well built.
Yeah, and I just feel like I think the Packers could maybe sneak in, but I think the Eagles team is going to be good. And I think probably the hard part is like who's going to be their backup right now. If you lost the backup and Jordan Love's out, that's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good. So I think, unfortunately, the Cheeseheads are going to be eaten, and I think I'm going to give them the 6.
I'm right there with you guys. Put me down for a 6. It's a home game for the Eagles. I don't see the Packers overcoming the home field advantage for the Eagles. Saquon Barkley should be able to run all over this game. Yeah, and I also like the wide receiver core better for the Eagles than I do for the Packers. I believe the Eagles have a better defense too. So yeah, 6 for the Packers.
Yes. And now we got to talk about the Eagles right now, gentlemen. And this is going to be an interesting part. As the person that is the Eagles hater for all time because of the worst city in all of America, Philadelphia.
Dude, do you hate freedom or something?
Yeah, right. You hate
I think ship it off and send it to Canada. That's what I got to say to Philadelphia.
That's very un-American, Stu.
Yeah, dude, you not stand for liberty?
That's where
Keep
our
the Liberty
Declaration of
Bell and
Independence
ship
was
it all to
signed.
Canada. I'm just saying. But anyway, we got to talk about the Eagles. I feel like that this has probably been the most they have been pretty dominant, I would say, this season also.
That's the least biased thing I've ever heard you say about the Eagles, dude. Amazing.
And I hate and that hurts my soul when I had to say it. It
hurts your soul. Get it? A pun.
My soul. Yeah, it hurts my heart. I'm having like heartburn right now. Just talking about positives about the Eagles. Saquon Barkley's been a beast right now. Man, don't you remember when basically the Giants were saying like, man, Saquon Barkley is not going to do well. I mean, he's kind of been a little bit of a problem. We're going to send him to Philly. Yeah, he done.
Well, I don't think they said that. They said we're not going to pay him $12 million a year, but they said he was an amazing human. He didn't have any problems.
I don't think they had any problems, but
well, you're making him sound like he was a problem child. Like, get this bozo out of our organization. They're like, dude, we don't want a running back worth $12 million a year. And he's like, all right, watch bet. And you know who else? Who else decided on similar things too? The Cowboys. Both teams that got rid of running backs. There's a resurgence in the running back community.
I'm just saying. But also
the Eagles, the Ravens, the Lions, even the Packers and the Vikings, they'll have great running backs.
Now, I will say it would have been funny, LOL, if Saquon Barkley did beat Eric Dickerson's record against the Giants.
I was going to say, I was bummed he didn't go for it. I mean, granted, it's probably the right decision. Like, if they were the one seed, I could maybe, I don't know. I didn't like the decision.
If they're fighting for that one seed, yeah, that makes sense. But it would have been
well, exactly. So, like, it's definitely a bummer because, you got to feel pretty good that he would do it against the Giants.
Yes. Granted, I do feel like this Eagles team looks good. Jalen Hurts has been pretty. I still would not say he's like the elite quarterbacks, but he's at least been decently good. I feel like he's in the same categories. I feel like as Goff, where I don't think Goff is like super duper elite, but I think the pieces right there has helped him do really well.
So do you think, where's Dak in those lists, too? Is he more of a product of having CeeDee Lamb, or is he an elite quarterback?
He's an elite quarterback in my heart.
So, Stu, do you know what Jared Goff just did? He tied Tom Brady's record for most games in the season of 75% completion or higher. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good stat.
I know, but we should probably do the negatives in the Eagles. I think
there's really not one.
Sirianni.
Why is he a negative? They went 14-3.
I don't know. I just feel like Sirianni is still like he's an okay coach, but I don't think he's. I think it's more just because of the team and not because of Sirianni. I'm gonna say it.
I mean, I think you just sound like a biased, like a hater Eagles fan right now. I mean, it's kind of like the Tomlin hate, where it's like, dude, this dude went to the Super Bowl, and yeah, sure, he had a bad couple of weeks to end last season. Everybody's like, he's terrible. And what does he do this year? Puts together one of the top 3 defenses in the league, has a potential running back to break the all-time record, manages having a bunch of superstars flawlessly. They might have they have one of the best 3 or 4 rosters in the entire NFL, which is true, but like, you got to be able to coach them still.
All right, fine, but still, it's maybe I'm just hearing the Eagles hate, where it's just like the Eagles like fandom, where it's like I hate Sirianni, I want him gone. He has just been trash. He hasn't done anything with this organization.
Well, I mean, because we could say that for the Cowboys too. It's like everybody was saying Mike McCarthy needs to be gone, but they won a bunch of games to end the season. They had a bunch of 12-5 seasons. They won NFC East titles, and everyone's like, get him out of here.
I want him out of here.
Exactly. So like, you just want him out of here, but like for most teams, it'd be a great run of seasons. That's just a bad expectation from the Eagles fans.
I'm just saying.
You're 14-3, and we're in the 1 seed conversation until the end of the season.
But like I said, this is going to be the interesting question, and I guess we'll start with you, Douglas. What would you rank these Eagles? You think they're going to beat the Packers? Let's be honest. But how far?
I mean, I do. I mean, they got to be an 8 for me. I mean, after the Lions' domination of the Vikings, I think it just solidified that there's a top 2 in the NFC.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, I think it's going to be Eagles versus Lions. And I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to be rooting for the Lions. I am not going to root for those Eagles. Screw the Eagles. They're America's brotherly hate, but I still think they're legit. I'm just trying to think of some negatives. Darn it. It's hard. It's hard to think about.
If you want a negative, they struggled in the passing game, even though they have Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert. Like, they had a couple of rough weeks in the passing game. That's about it.
Yeah, remember a few weeks ago, Devonta Smith, or was it A.J. Brown? He was not too happy because he barely got any targets. So that'd be the only negative. Because, yeah, when you guys are talking about negatives, I couldn't think of one really.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's only that they overfed Saquon sometimes, and the receivers got a little bit frustrated. Because, like, the Lions, they keep everybody happy. Where, like, the Eagles are like, all right, dude, we got Saquon. He's going to get 35 touches a game. A.J. Brown's getting 4 targets. And that kind of pissed off Mr. A.J., and it pissed off me as his fantasy manager, too.
Yeah. Put me down for an A, because I see it's going to be the Eagles versus the Lions in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, look at that. We got triple H's right now. And this is going to be, and hopefully, I'm just going to say it, die Eagles die. Just saying.
But that doesn't sit well with me, because I have the Lions versus the Eagles 1-2, but then I also have the Chiefs 1-2. What are the chances it's going to be both 1 seeds and 2 seeds in the respective
that's what I'm
champions?
That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying. We're saying right there. We'll see how it goes. And now we got the.
Well, no, that's not what we were saying. Stuart, you and I said it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs, but Doug said it's going to be the Chiefs and more than likely the Chiefs versus the Ravens. Now I wish it doesn't matter. I'm just superstitious about that. I don't like it being the same 1 versus 2 than 1 versus 2. It's probably going to be different, but I picked what I picked. Here we go.
Yeah, there'll be some upsets for sure.
Now we get the interesting one, and I got to think about it. The Commanders versus Buccaneers game. Interestingly enough, the Washington Commanders, first time that they made the postseason since 2020, and to be honest with you, that team was garbage in 2020.
Since 2020. I know it's been 4 years, but man, it's always since 2020.
Yes. I mean, they're the second longest team that hasn't made the postseason. I mean, it's the Broncos, and then it's the Commanders.
You said 2020.
Yeah, they're the second longest team that didn't make the postseason. That has made the postseason. I mean, like, am I making sense?
No, you said 2020. That's 4 years ago. The longest drought. 4 years.
Oh, that's interesting, but it probably is true because I mean, you have teams like the Jaguars that snuck in a couple of years ago and they beat the Chargers.
The Browns made it in 2020. I guess.
I'm talking about the teams that made the postseason. Like,
when did the Cardinals make it? You're not talking about the whole NFL?
Yeah, I'm just talking about the postseason. Yeah,
I'm confused.
So just out of the 14 teams that made the playoffs, this was the longest one other than the Broncos.
Yeah.
But not in the entire NFL.
Oh, okay. I see where you're
yeah.
saying. Out of the four, I got you.
Yeah,
Now.
because every other
All right.
team, I'm trying to think, they all made the postseason last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, when you say it like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
besides
say, yeah.
Not
besides
of
the
all
Chargers.
32 teams.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say, like, it's kind of weird that every team in the league has made the playoffs in the last 4 years. Like, that's parity, but that's not what you're
There's
saying.
no way.
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure the Tennessee Titans haven't made the playoffs in a while. But let's digress back to the
We,
Washington
we gotta talk
Commanders.
about the
They were
Commanders.
the ones. They were the number one seed in like 2021, though.
Oh, really? Really? The Titans? No kidding.
Yeah, they had like the one really good year with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry,
Ah, okay.
It's
and I think Tom Brady wrecked them.
shocking. Tom Brady wrecked the Tennessee Titans. But anyway, we're gonna start with you, Christopher. What is your thoughts? And I guess we go positive, negative on the Commanders. I mean, they're a young team. Jane Daniels has been balling.
I mean, they're 12-5. When you have a team that's 12-5, you can't have too many negatives. I mean, I guess the negative, they lost to the Cowboys, but like I said, that was in the last 6 weeks. And the
Yeah.
Cowboys, they had some good quality wins in the last few weeks of the season. Lost to Steelers, lost to the Eagles. Those are respectable losses. This is another rematch. Another rematch that happened in the regular season. Commanders and Buccaneers happened week 1, which the Buccaneers won 37-20. A weakness, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Jane Daniels, he can air the ball out, so that's not a weakness in the quarterback realm. I guess it'd be maybe Brian Robinson in the running back. Do they need to run the ball more when they have, or maybe they don't have enough wide receivers. They have scary Terry McLaurin from Ohio State, who's been in the league 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, yeah, a 12-5 team, they don't have too many weaknesses or negatives.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there. I mean, there's definitely some like inconsistencies, which is to be expected with a rookie quarterback. Because like when they were on their A game, I mean, they were amazing. And like they had the Hail Mary though to win a game. Like there was games where you could tell that they were like they haven't quite figured out the consistent winning formula. So it's hard to imagine them making a deep run here, unfortunately. Because I'm kind of seeing a team that like, man, oh man, like the Cowboys and Eagles better watch out because this team's going to come on strong here for the NFC East here soon.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaden Daniels was in the early MVP conversation. McLaurin's amazing. Like their defense, I think, was a little bit up and down this year, but overall pretty consistent. So it's like, unfortunately for me, though, I think they're going to lose to the Buccaneers. So I will personally put them at a 6.
Yeah, I'm probably going to put them at the 6 for right now. But when we get to the Buccaneers, I'm 100% confident about the Buccaneers beating the Commanders.
Oh, I'm confident. I'm giving the Commanders a 6, and I'm definitely confident about the Buccaneers.
Oh, we got triple sixes right now. Oh, all right. All right, we'll see how it goes right there. And now we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now making the postseason the 4 years in a row. It is crazy. They went from like before Brady, like a long stretch where they didn't make the postseason in the 2010s to being consistent. It's crazy to think about that.
All right, so Stuart, you kind of left off here saying you're not confident about the Buccaneers. Let's start off with you. Why are you not too confident about Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Here we go.
I think one of the injuries, I mean, granted, they got most of their players back, but they also had some like weird, like close, like almost like they barely beat this team. They had some clunkers, losses. I mean, Baker's been balling.
Barely beat this team. They beat the Chargers by 23. That's one example. But all right, go ahead, Stu.
I'm just
They
saying.
beat the Lions. They beat the Eagles.
Okay, that was early in the season when they're 100% strength, and now they're like back to 90. But
When
still.
the Saints were semi still hot in week 6, let's see. Yeah, that was week 6. They beat them 51-27.
But that probably was the part when we realized that the Saints were not that hot.
Yeah, when the Saints were frauds.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
the
kind of
Buccaneers
realized.
did have a 4-game losing streak in the middle of the season, which obviously that was when Chris Godwin was out, Mike Evans was out. But I mean, man, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they won 6 out of their last 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a nice run. I mean, then their losses, I mean, like they took the Chiefs to overtime. That was a loss. I think they went toe to toe with the 49ers in there. It's not like they were like, they don't really have like bad losses other than losing to Atlanta twice. Like those are that's the head scratching one, where it's like those 2 games were kind of put right in the middle of when all their players were hurt.
Yeah, so I will go first. I don't feel 100% confident I'll give the Buccaneers the 6 for right now, just because I'm not 100% confident that the Bucks can beat the Commanders right now.
Ooh, all right. All right. 2 6s in the same matchup. I like to see.
Yes. This is the one I'm just like, ugh. I think it's, if I had to pick it, gun to my head, who do I think is going to win it? It's probably the Bucks.
Oh, there you go. All right.
But I don't feel 100% confident on the Buccaneers.
Well, I don't think we should feel 100% confident in any matchup, though. Because, like, I mean, a lot of experts think the Broncos might beat the Bills, the Packers might beat the Eagles.
I mean, on the
Do we just give every team a 6 because they made the playoff?
yeah, but still, are you like, I feel like it could be 50-50 on this one.
Well, give
Fair
me
enough.
a 7 because I don't see the Buccaneers stopping.
All
I
right.
mean, I see them stopping at the end of this week when they go in the divisional round against the Eagles. But I don't see them stopping. I mean, yeah, Jane Daniels, beautiful run, beautiful season, led the team to a 12-5 record, second place in the NFC East. But I think it stops here. Baker Mayfield, I think he leads the league in passing touchdowns this season. If not, he leads the league in passing touchdowns in combined total the last 2 seasons. Baker Mayfield, he's having MVP numbers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the guy that gets under talked about all day, like,
Yeah.
legitimately. Like, 41, 42 touchdowns.
But Bucky Irving, he's a downhill runner. He likes gaining yards. Mike Evans, he just eclipsed 1,000 yards for 11th time in a row. But we're not here to talk about career stats. And then I can't think of the other wide receiver for the Buccaneers. Julian, I don't know. He came on hot after Chris Godwin's injury. And I think the Buccaneers, minus their defense, that might be their one negative. They have a great offense. And the Commanders, they like to put up numbers too. It should be a high-scoring game. I don't even know what the spread for this game is. But yeah, but give me the Buccaneers for a 7. The spread right now is Buccaneers -3.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, yep, 7 as well. Like, I feel like it's going to be really hard to beat Tampa at home.
All right, we'll see. I think this might be 50-50. And you guys think it's going to be the Buccaneers that are going to win it, but we'll see. And now we got the final matchup of the week. We got the Minnesota Vikings playing against the LA Rams in Los Angeles. So we'll start with you, Douglas.
Man, this is a hard one. Like, this is I feel like this was worst case scenario for Minnesota potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of got manhandled. You don't have a lot of confidence right now. I mean, and it's hard to then turn around on a short week rest because you had the Sunday night game. At least you get the Monday night game this week.
And also, it stinks for where we're going to play in the Monday. I don't feel like I like the Monday night games, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Monday night playoff game. I feel like that should just be Saturday, Sunday, because then it's like it puts the winner of this game at a big disadvantage. Because, I mean, if, somehow let's say the Vikings win and then they have to go on a short week to Detroit again, like that's kind of baloney. Yeah. So, like, I'm not a huge fan because then they have to do a bunch of traveling, come back and play against the Lions potentially again. I'm going to go with a 6. Like, this might – I like the Rams. The Rams beat them once this year. I feel like it's a bad matchup for the Vikings, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like for right now, for Minnesota, I think I'm going to give them the 6 for also. I think they could, but I feel 50-50 on also this game. I don't feel confident in Minnesota or the Rams right now to win on this one, either two.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is probably the game that I'm looking the most forward to it, honestly.
Yeah, this might be the fun game of the week. I think it's going to be interesting. I think, honestly, I could see both teams making a deep post run, but I can also see both teams get eliminated one and done.
Yeah, and that's what's hard, too, is there's a really good chance that the winner of this one has to go into Detroit the next week, too. So we'll wait and see on that one as well.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You do not want to go to Detroit on the next one.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna be the only one that gives the Vikings a 7. But here are the Vikings' negatives. Their defense. Yeah, sure, that's impressive. They have 3 losses on the season, but each loss that they've had, they've given up 30 or more points. The other negative is their running game. Sure, they have Aaron Jones, who came over from the Packers, but he only has 5 touchdowns on the season because Sam Darnold, amazing. He's going to be the comeback player of the year. He's going to, he throws the ball to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson healthily and wealthily to both those wide receivers. And like I've mentioned in the previous previous podcasts, I think that might be one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. Keyword one of the best. There's a lot of other good wide receiver duos out there. Give them a 7. Yeah, I mean, Vikings lost to the Rams early in the season 30-20. I think this is their comeback. This is the redemption. So, yeah.
Oh, we'll
Nice.
see.
You're believing a lot in the redemptions. I'm feeling a lot in the double downs, it seems.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're like in the digit. We're like in the,
It worked for college, but now it's probably not going to work for the NFL. Those double downs are going to, take advantage of the teams.
They went double trouble downs, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was just like a deflating loss of Lions. Like if they lost like a close game, but like I don't know. Like I feel like it's hard not to have a mental toll after
They got
like kind of getting shut down like that too. I'm a little bit concerned about their mental state going into the game.
I mean, and that's true. And I agree with your name tree when he said it like this. They made Sam Darnold look like the Jets Sam Darnold.
Well, and I mean the Lions might have given the Rams a recipe too,
Yeah.
Like just do it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Doug.
No, you go ahead, man.
See, like I'm going about the redemptions now, but next week when we talk about the assuming the Vikings win, if it's going to be the NFC North battle between the Lions and the Vikings, Lions have beat the Vikings twice this year, and if that's going to be the matchup in the divisional round, I'm going to go heavy on the Lions and it's going to be a three-game sweep for the season for the Lions, but that'll be the talk for next week's discussion, pending the outcome of this Vikings-Rams game.
All right. And that's always the fun part right over here. Because next we got to talk about the LA Rams right now, who it's been interesting. The Stafford era, they won the Super Bowl, didn't make a playoffs, made the playoffs, and now made the playoffs again. Now, can they get the hump in LA to win a playoff game?
I mean, I think that they can. I mean, I don't know. They're another team very similar to the Buccaneers, where it's like when they're healthy, man. Like I would, as a Lions fan, I respect both these teams. I would rather see the Vikings again than the Rams, because like the Rams scare me more. And like I don't know if it's like Stafford and Puka Nacua, like Kyron Williams. Like they're just granted Justin Jefferson's amazing, but like Puka Nacua tore us up in week 1. Like the Rams took us to overtime when they were fully healthy in Detroit. And like when the Rams are on, I mean, they outpaced the Bills at home. Like they had a lot of really nice wins too. They beat this Vikings team already. I like what the Rams got cooking.
Yeah, we got the Rams not cooking. Now it's going to be interesting. So we're going to start with you, Christopher. Do you think the Rams are going to beat the Vikings?
No, I gave the Vikings a 7. I'm not really. Let's see here. I mean, the Rams. Who's there? Yeah, Kyron Williams, good running back. Yeah, they have Cooper Kupp. He's more towards the end of his career. Not saying his career's over, but he's getting up there. But yeah, like Doug said, Puka Nacua is a monster. Mm-hmm. Matthew Stafford, we know he's been always he'll probably end up in Canton at the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, the NFL Hall of Fame. I just see there's going to be something missing in that game. I wish Cooper Kupp was as good as he used to be. He hasn't really been much of an impact over the last few weeks for the Rams. It's more or less been Puka Nacua. I think it's going to be the defense, and I think there's going to be holes in the defense. I think that's going to be their negative, their downside for the Rams. They're going to give up. I think I was looking at it. All their losses, they give up 24 or more points to their opponents when they lose games. And when you have a scoring team like the Minnesota Vikings, I think it's an indoor game. This game might be moved to Arizona pending the wildfires, however that works out in Los Angeles. But regardless, if they play in Arizona, if they play in Los Angeles, it's still an indoor game. Minnesota Vikings, they play their home games in indoors in Minnesota. So yeah, the defense is going to be the downfall for the Rams. I think the Rams or the Vikings are going to score 30 plus points. So yeah, 6 for the Rams.
6 for the Rammies. Now, Douglas, we're going to get to you. Do you feel?
I mean, I do feel confident.
Or you're not. You don't feel 100%. You can give
no, I mean, I'll give him a 7. I mean, I truly think that there's something with like momentum and shock value and all those things, and like I don't know. I just don't feel like the Vikings are going to quite have enough time. And I mean, if you're going to give me 2 fairly equal teams, one with Stafford, one with Sam Darnold, I'll side with Stafford and the home team. I mean, I love what the Vikings have done, and I think, like you said, it's kind of a coin flip. But I mean, I like the home team that's already won in this matchup with the veteran quarterback that's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel like the Rammies. I think they're gonna probably. This is a tough one.
I mean, dude, the whole NFC is like wild. Like the
I
NFC is
honestly
one of
feel
the
like I
most
gotta
deep
give.
conferences I've seen.
I think I might give them the 6 because I just don't feel. I don't know which one's gonna win. I don't feel as confident right now. That's why I always say it. The NFC. I could honestly see the Rams or the Vikings making it to the Super Bowl. Am I crazy that I think they can get hot and they get that?
What?
I think
The
any
Rams
of
or
the seven. I think any set of the 7 teams in the NFC could legitimately make it.
Yeah. And I
I
know you're
mean,
crazy. You think I'm crazy, Chris, and you think I'm probably a little bit nuts and maybe cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I know it's already past 11, but I'm thinking the Rams could make it.
I think you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because, yeah, it's way past 11. It's 11:38, 11:37.
In the podcast. But anyway, but I do think the Rams are going to probably do this. And now I guess we got to talk about the 2 teams.
Whoa, we're going to talk about them now? Why don't we talk about them next week?
I guess. Do you want to talk about them next week?
I mean, they're not playing this week. Why would we talk about them this week?
All right. You know what?
I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know. You guys.
I mean, do you think? What do you think about this, gentlemen? Do you just want to wait until we get to next week? We can pause on that.
I mean, that's up to you. I mean, if you want to give me a score, I'm going to give them both an 8. So like, there's no suspense on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need to talk about them, but if you just want to give me an 8 on them, because I think
Yeah.
the 1 seeds, home field advantage,
Yeah.
the 2 best teams. I mean, I don't know. That's my opinion.
I think.
Yeah,
Would you agree,
I'll
Chris?
give them an 8. Yeah, depending on who they play. I mean, most likely it's gonna be the Chargers versus the Chiefs
All
in the
right.
divisional round, and yeah, it's toss up. Like I said, I think it's gonna be an NFC North battle. Lions Vikings in the divisional round. Stuart, you didn't really say who you think is gonna win versus the Vikings or Rams because you both gave them a 6. Doug is heavily favored on the Rams.
All right. I think it might be the Rams, but I'm not 100%.
Nice. I was gonna. Doug, do you want to do a $5 bet? I'll take the Vikings. You take the Rams.
All right. And I guess speaking of which, that means we got to go with our.
Yeah, that's fine. Stu, do you want to do one for? Wait, no. Did anybody pick the Commanders? We all picked the Buccaneers, didn't we?
Yeah, we all.
Yeah, sure. I'll do one for the Rams. I mean,
Want to do it? All right.
Yep.
Do it.
Yep.
You're picking the Rams?
I will stand strong in my opinion. I mean,
If you
I
don't
wouldn't
want
be
to,
shocked.
don't feel pressured by this.
Oh no, I don't at all. Like I feel confident enough to go for it.
Yeah, put a dollar sign and a $5 right there.
$5. Let's do
$5
it.
foot long, which no longer exists.
Yes, because
Mhm.
Jerry from Subway went to prison.
Hey man, I have some good coupons right now though. You can get 3 footlongs for $17.99, gents. $6 footlong.
That's
Pretty
a deal,
close.
actually. That's a deal.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Oh, hey, look at these weekly wagers. I mean, come on, Chris and Doug. Our coaches got fired.
Oh yeah, Stu, yours both 250.
Yeah, I guess I owe you both 250. Okay. I know we're probably not going to talk about this until probably get to the report card.
But technically, it's not the first coach that got fired on the season, though. So.
Yeah, technically, if we had to be technical, it was Robert Saleh from the Jets was fired first in week 5.
Hey, I'm okay with not being technical for 250.
But I still got to say it. In my opinion, why did you fire your coach? This doesn't make any sense. This is the dumbest thing ever. Patriots. I think honestly, this was like, but like I said, I digress. We should probably talk about it when we get to the report card. And spoiler alert, I'm giving the Patriots a 1 just for that. That's how annoyed I am about that.
Yeah, I mean it was a little bit baffling. I mean it's hard to imagine giving a coach just 1 year and anything, but maybe they're optimistic they can get like one of the bright young minds or like one of the like elite coaches sitting on the sidelines. But I don't get why'd you hire him in the first place though if you're not going to let him.
That's how I feel. If you're going to fire him after 1 year and you groomed him, Robert Kraft, why did you hire him?
Well, and like it's awkward too because they just beat the Bills, so like you should be kind of excited. Then an hour later you're fired. You're like, yes, I finally got over the hump, big win, and get out of here.
In 1 hour and 38 minutes, less than 90 minutes, you're terminated.
Yeah, like that's a pretty insane. Like I would feel pretty shocked if I was him. You know, like that's shell shocking.
That would be like if the manager literally at your work was like, "Man, you you did great in the sales this week, man. You got like 25 extras. Oh, by the way, we got to terminate you. That's what I feel like. You're like, what?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like if that's the case, I mean, I feel like you either should have done it like the week before if you knew you were going to do it, or at least give the guy like a date. I don't know. I didn't like the timing of it. I felt like it felt kind of like
Yeah, and
felt a little bit crummy.
I think they're doing it just so they can get the former Titans coach.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I mean, where you got Vrabel there, you have like the offensive coordinator for the Lions that showed interest. So like maybe they think they're going to get like, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking, but either way, I didn't like it.
Yeah, we didn't like it either. And now we got the stock options this week. So Douglas Theodore is doing good. And I feel like
does Chris technically win? Like we restart for the playoffs, I would assume, right? Like Chris won the regular season. We both owe him money.
Yeah, you know what? Let's make it interesting. Everyone gets $50.
Deal. But I win the regular season for what it's worth.
Yep, you won. I think it's worth $5 a piece, I thought.
Yeah. So so Doug and Stu, you owe me $5.
All righty. All right. Boo. Boo. But anyway, gentlemen, we got to decide, who do you think is going to bump up in these stocks?
I mean, it's hard because I don't think any of us think any of them will, because it's like we already made our. So I don't know if it's even possible to really do, because it's kind of like.
If we have the Bills going the AFC Championship, the only thing they can do is go to the 9 by beating the Chiefs.
I mean, did anyone pick the? Oh wait, we gave him the 7, right? You both gave him the 7s.
No, we gave the median was
the Rams technically got a 6. So I mean, I guess if I was to do this, I would. All right, Stu, fine. I'll entertain you. I mean, I'll just double down again for no reason.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I feel like the only thing to do is take 7 options of Rams. And I mean, if they lose, then I just amount my money. I mean, I guess I could take the Eagles as well.
Might as well do 8 because there were 6. There were 6 right now.
Oh, there were 6. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, give me 8 of those bad boys.
Yeah, I'm thinking
I mean, if they lose, I'm bankrupt. But like, hey, we're sending it.
All right, what are you doing, Chris? Are you doing anything for the Ravens?
I mean, let's see here.
I mean, like I said, if the Ravens lose.
I mean, yeah, give me 7 for the Ravens. You have me right on there from last week. I'm cool with that. That gives me a 49 out of 50. So yeah,
and I don't feel confident in the Vikings. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, make sure you put the Rams 6. There were $6.
Oh, $6. Oh yeah, I totally forgot.
There
you go. I don't feel confident. I'm gonna play a bet. I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna go Rams, but I'm gonna go.
So if the Rams lose, they're at a 0, right? And I win the playoffs. I mean, we're not doing $5 for the playoffs. This is just for the.
Yeah, this is the.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. If the Rams lose, unless Stu's diversifying.
I'm diversifying. No, there's no one really.
Actually, I'm gonna diversify slightly, Stu. I'll take 7 shares of the Rams, and then I want 1 of the Lions.
All right.
That way, at least I have a backup. I'm going to play it safe till next week. Then that should be an even 50 as well. I don't want that single dollar.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Good math, Doug.
Yeah. Look at that. You got the 1 single dollar. And then I'm trying to think, is there anyone else? I'm like, you know what? I'll just do the Chiefs. Let's do the Chiefs, baby.
Heck yeah. How many shares are you going to get?
Let me check.
Well, see, you put the Rams. They're now worth 7. They're worth 6.
All right.
You technically you could do exactly what Doug did: 7 shares for the Rams, and then one share for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Or you could do 3 for the Chiefs, and then you'd have $2 to spare.
Yeah, and I'm not saving that one.
Yeah, but $2 isn't going to buy you anything next week.
No, but I think that might be that. That might be my picks.
Well, I think you can buy 3 of the Chiefs too.
Wait, you're doing 4 of the Rams, so you're gonna have 20. All right, so you have 24, and then 24. That's 48. All right.
I feel like that's it. And now, gentlemen, look at that. Do you have any final thoughts of this week so far?
Oh man, I love playoff football.
I love playoff football. This is honestly gonna be my favorite. Like this feels like, I mean, like I said, I feel exhausted. I feel tired for this whole NFL season. But I'm ready for the playoffs. This has been fun. Honestly, this has honestly been a joy every week.
Final thoughts. I'm excited for this Vikings-Rams game. I mean, that's on Monday night, right? Oof.
Yeah.
That might be the
Yeah.
matchup of the weekend. If not,
Oh, that's
if not,
huge.
I'm excited for the Bucks Commanders game. I want to see Jane Daniels rookie. I
Yeah.
love rookie quarterbacks, Bo Nix, but I'm more
Yeah, I mean,
favored towards the Bills winning that
just
game.
out of a curiosity, I'm excited for like the Bills Broncos to see how they match up, and like I'm excited to see how some of these younger teams match up. Like I want to see Jaden Daniels make his appearance. Can the Packers run with the Eagles type of thing? But like I feel confident in the picks, but it'll still be fun to kind of see some of the younger like teams kind of evolve and kind of learn if they can step up to the plate.
Yeah, I just don't want I want these rookie quarterbacks. I want them to be close games so we can see the next, I guess, round of quarterbacks coming to the league. Jane Daniels, Bo Nix. If they can make these games close, then we know we have a solid class coming in. Solid sophomore seasons coming up for next year.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, even more parity.
More parity, indeed. And now, gentlemen, we are pretty much done with the playoff previews right now this week. Next week, we got 2 more podcasts we're going to do. One where we're going to do the finals of the College Football National Championship. Now, hopefully, that'll be a quickie. And then next, we got the divisional round. We got 8 eulogies next week. How dare you do Hook 'em Horns and also Hook 'em Horns. Where we're basically going to talk about the divisional round, and we'll talk about the Lions and the Chiefs. So as always, gentlemen, I will catch you later, Mr. Gators. As always, take care. Bye-bye.